The security doors slid open with a hiss that made everyone in the observation room fall silent. Dr. Leah Grant walked through carrying a small bag and wondering why she had been invited at all. She was not famous. She had not discovered anything important. Her papers on ancient burial sites earned polite nods at conferences, nothing more. Around her, the greatest minds in the galaxy waited. Crystalline scholars from Voshan Prime stood like living sculptures, their bodies reflecting light in colors that hurt to look at. Four-armed diplomats from Quella adjusted their formal robes. Serpentine researchers from Draith coiled around specialized seating, their scales clicking softly against metal. They all ignored her. Leah found a spot near the back wall. Through the thick observation glass, she could see the chamber beyond. It sat in the center of the room on a hovering platform, surrounded by containment fields that shimmered like heat waves. The Obsidian tablet, even from here, even through layers of protective barriers, it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Primitive observers should wait outside, someone muttered in Galactic Standard. Leah pretended not to hear. Her translator implant worked perfectly, but sometimes pretending to be ignorant helped. High Scholar Brenham floated to the front of the room. The Vashani's crystalline body chimed like bells as it moved. We gather today for the final analysis. 3 centuries of death, 14 species, 47 brilliant minds turned to ash. Brenham's voice resonated through the room. The Obsidian tablet has killed everyone who touched it. Today we determine if it will be destroyed. Leah leaned forward. She had read about the tablet, of course. Everyone had. It was found in ruins older than any current civilization. The predecessors they called the ancient race. A people who built wonders across the galaxy before vanishing millions of years ago. They left behind structures, artifacts, and mysteries, and this tablet had killed everyone who tried to study it. The scanning sequence will begin, Brenham announced. Technicians worked at control panels. Mechanical arms extended into the chamber, carrying devices that hummed with energy. The first scanner approached the tablet. The moment it got close, the tablet pulsed. The scanner melted, just vanished into slag. Gasps filled the observation room. The technicians tried again with different equipment. Same result. Heat, light, destruction. Perhaps a resonance approach, Brenham suggested. 3 Vashani scholars entered the chamber wearing protective suits that glowed with their species' advanced technology. They began singing, their crystalline bodies creating harmonics that made the air vibrate. The tablet responded. Leah watched in horror as the harmonics inverted. The 3 scholars exploded into fragments, their bodies shattering like dropped glass. Alarm screamed. The containment fields flickered. Evacuate, someone shouted. People rushed toward the exits. The tablet rose from its platform, hovering on its own power. Cracks spread across the observation glass. Leah should have run. Everyone else was running. But something held her in place. A feeling she could not name, like remembering a dream just as you wake. The glass exploded outward. The tablet tumbled through the air, spinning, falling toward her. Leah's hands moved on their own. She stepped forward, reached out, caught the tablet. It was warm. Not burning, just warm like sun-heated stone on Earth. The surface felt smooth under her fingers, almost soft. Strange symbols glowed across its face, lighting up one after another. The room went deadly quiet. Everyone who had not escaped stared at her. At the human holding the artifact that should have killed her instantly. Put it down. Brenham's voice cracked with fear. Human, release it now! But Leah could not let go. The warmth was spreading up her arms into her chest. Images flashed through her mind. Earth, her home planet. But not the Earth she knew. Ancient Earth, burning skies, ash-covering continents. Something massive falling from space, I remember, she whispered. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere old. The tablet pulsed again. This time it projected an image above Leah's head. A hologram made of light and shadow, a simple symbol that hung in the air. A handprint. 5 fingers, human. The aliens in the room recoiled. Leah heard them gasping, crying out in their various languages. She looked up at the symbol and felt something click into place in her mind. Impossible, Brenham said, floating closer but not too close. Humans evolved on Earth. Your planet is nowhere near the predecessor sites. There is no connection. There cannot be. But the tablet pulsed again, warmer now in Leah's hands. More images flooded her mind. She saw beings that were not human, not any species she knew, Tall, elegant, with too many joints in their limbs. The predecessors. She saw them working on Earth millions of years ago, doing something to the animals that survived the Great Extinction, changing them, marking them, waiting for something to evolve. Seal the room, a new voice commanded. Ambassador Torin, the Quellan who had sponsored humanity's entry into the galactic community. Seal it now. No one enters or leaves until we understand this. Heavy doors slammed shut. Leah stood in the center of the observation room, holding the tablet, surrounded by aliens who looked at her with fear and wonder and confusion. She looked down at the smooth black surface. The symbols glowing there meant nothing to her, but somehow, somewhere deep in her bones, she understood them anyway. What does it say? Torin asked quietly. Leah traced the symbols with one finger. It says, "Welcome home." Leah sat in the containment cell with walls made of transparent material stronger than diamond. Outside, aliens argued. Inside, the tablet rested in her lap like a sleeping cat. It had been 3 hours since she caught it. 3 hours since her life stopped making sense. The tablet showed her things. Not through screens or projections. The images appeared directly in her mind. She saw Earth 65 million years in the past. The sky was orange with debris. Fires covered continents. The asteroid had already hit. Dinosaurs were dying in their millions. And in orbit above the burning planet, ships arrived. Not human ships. The predecessors. Leah watched through eyes that were not hers. She saw the tall beings moving through their vessel, studying the devastation below. They were elegant creatures with limbs that bent in too many places. Their skin shimmered with colors that had no names in any language she knew. They were also dying. She could feel their desperation like a weight in her chest. A plague was killing them. Not a disease in the normal sense. Something worse. Something that made the laws of physics stop working correctly around them. Their greatest scientists could not cure it. Their most powerful technology could not stop it. So they did something else. They came to planets recovering from disasters. Planets where life was barely holding on. They found the survivors and changed them. Added something to their genetic structure. A marker, a key. A hope that someday something might evolve that could solve the problem they could not. Earth was one of hundreds of such experiments. Leah? A voice broke through the vision. She blinked, coming back to herself. Dr. Pascal Okonkwo stood outside the containment cell. Her mentor, the man who taught her to love archaeology. He pressed one hand against the transparent barrier. Are you hurt? No. Her voice sounded strange, deeper. Or maybe it was just that everything sounded different now. I'm seeing things, Pascal. The tablet is showing me what happened. The council wants to run tests on you. Pascal's face showed worry. They want to take the tablet away. They can't. Leah looked down at the smooth black surface. It won't let them. It waited millions of years for someone like me. Someone like you. A serpentine form slithered into view beside Pascal. Inquisitor Shalvan of the Draith. The species prided themselves on seeking truth no matter how uncomfortable. You claim special connection to predecessor technology. Convenient for a species so new to galactic affairs. Leah met the Inquisitor's cold eyes. Test my DNA. Test everyone here. You'll find what I'm seeing is true. Shalvan's hood flared. Very well. The test took 2 hours. Technicians drew blood from every species present. They ran genetic analyses using equipment Leah barely understood. The results appeared on holographic displays throughout the facility. Every species in the galaxy carried traces of predecessor DNA. Tiny markers scattered through their genetic code. But in most species, these markers were damaged, broken, inactive. Humans had them too. But human markers were different. They were active, concentrated, as if millions of years of evolution had refined them instead of destroying them. This proves nothing, Brenham said. The Vashani's crystalline body had dimmed since the accident in the observation room. Genetic contamination could explain this. Could it explain this? Leah stood. The tablet rose with her, floating at chest height. She touched its surface and it projected a map. A galactic map showing hundreds of worlds marked with glowing symbols. The predecessors seeded all these planets. Most failed. Some evolved intelligence but not adaptability. Some adapted but never became conscious. Earth kept having extinction events. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts. Each time life barely survived. And each time the survivors became better at surviving. The map zoomed in on Earth. Leah saw the timeline displayed in lights, 5 major extinction events, dozens of smaller ones. Each time life was pushed to the edge and came back different. Stronger in some ways, more desperate in others. Humans are not special, she continued. We're just stubborn. Our planet tried to kill us over and over, and something in our ancestors refused to die. And the tablet responds to this? Ambassador Torin asked. The Quellen's forearms were crossed in a gesture that meant deep thinking. It recognizes this survival trait? It was built to. Leah felt the knowledge flowing from the tablet into her mind. The predecessors designed it as a key. Only a species with active survival markers could touch it without dying. They were looking for someone who evolved through constant near extinction. Someone whose DNA was written in survival. Shalvin uncoiled slightly. Why, what is this key meant to open? The tablet pulsed. The projection changed. It showed a location in the void between galaxies, a structure impossible in size, older than stars. A vault, Leah said, where they stored the cure for their plague. The room erupted in noise. Multiple species speaking at once in their various languages. Leah heard disbelief, hope, fear. Brenham moved closer to the containment barrier. The Vashani's crystalline structure flickered. The plague. You said it killed the predecessors. How do you know it will not return? Leah looked at the dimming crystals. Understanding hit her like cold water. You're sick. The plague is already starting in your species. Brenham's light pulsed once, slowly. For 3 months. We thought it was a new illness. But our scientists cannot identify it. Medicine does not work. Each day, more of my people lose their light. The tablet grew warmer in Leah's hands. Images filled her mind faster now. She saw the plague spreading through the predecessors, watched their civilization crumble, felt their terror as reality itself began to break down around them. It's not biological, she said. It's entropic. The plague attacks advanced civilizations. The more technology you develop, the more vulnerable you become. Physics itself starts to fail. Then how did you primitives survive it? Shalvin demanded. We didn't develop far enough to trigger it. Not yet. But the predecessors knew someday we would. That's why they left the cure. And that's why they made sure only someone with the survival markers could access it. Leah placed her hand flat against the tablet. They needed a species that evolved through disaster. Because using the cure requires becoming part of it. Someone has to volunteer to be the conduit. Pascal's face went pale. Leah, no. The vault is real, she continued. And so is the cure. But there's a price for using it. The tablet projected one final image. Leah saw herself, or something that used to be her, spread across dimensions, holding reality together, keeping the plague from returning. Forever. I can take you there, she said. To the vault. But you need to understand what it means. The council chamber felt too small for the argument happening inside it. Representatives from 12 species filled the circular room, each speaking over the others. Leah stood in the center, still holding the tablet. It had been 2 days since the truth came out. 2 days of debates while Brenham's people continued to die. We cannot trust this. A representative from the Miran species spoke softly, but everyone heard. The Mirans were herbivores, peaceful by nature. One human touching one artifact does not prove anything. This could be manipulation. My people are dying. Brenham's voice came out as barely a whisper. The Vashani had to be supported by anti-gravity fields now. Crystals that should have been bright with life looked gray and dull. Every day we wait, the death count rises. Ambassador Torin raised 2 of his forearms. The genetic evidence supports the humans' claims. Every species here carries predecessor markers, but only humans have them in active form. The probability of this being coincidence is mathematically 0, or it means humans somehow contaminated themselves, Shalvin suggested. Perhaps they found predecessor technology on Earth and absorbed it. Leah had stopped being angry at the accusations. She understood. Humanity was new to the galactic community. Barely 2 generations had passed since first contact. Humans were seen as primitives who got lucky, and now one primitive was claiming to be the key to saving everyone. Let me go to the vault, she said. If I'm wrong, nothing happens. If I'm right, you get your cure. And if you die. Pascal stood near the back of the chamber. He had not left her side since this began. What then? Then you find another human and try again. Leah smiled sadly at her mentor. The tablet called to me, but I'm probably not the only one it could use. Unacceptable. Pascal moved forward. Leah, you don't know what this vault will do to you. The tablet showed you visions of transformation, of being spread across space. That sounds like death to me. It's not death. The tablet pulsed warm against her hands. It's change. The predecessors knew someone would have to become part of the cure. That's why they needed a species shaped by survival, someone used to adapting to impossible situations. A new voice spoke from the chamber entrance. I volunteer to accompany the expedition. Captain Rhodes walked in, wearing the dark blue uniform of Earth's exploration fleet. My ship, the Persistence, is capable of deep space travel. We can reach the vault coordinates. No human ship has that range, Shalvin objected. Ours does now. Rhodes smiled slightly. We've been making improvements, learning from our galactic neighbors. Whether you like it or not, we're capable. The council argued for another hour. Leah tuned most of it out. She focused on the tablet, on the images it kept showing her. The vault was real. The cure was real. But so was the price. Finally, Ambassador Torrin called for a vote. The decision was narrow but clear. The expedition would proceed. 6 species would send representatives to monitor the humans. If any signs of betrayal appeared, the mission would be terminated. Leah was fine with that. She did not plan to betray anyone. Preparation took 3 days. Leah spent most of that time in the medical bay while physician Queln ran tests. The Mirren doctor was gentle, his long fingers careful as he worked. The tablet is changing you, Queln said quietly. Your neural pathways are reorganizing. Parts of your brain that were dormant are activating. Does it hurt me? Leah asked. I cannot tell. Queln's large eyes showed worry. Your brain activity is increasing beyond what should be possible. You should be having seizures, but you are not. The tablet seems to be protecting you even as it transforms you. It's teaching me. Leah had realized this during the 2nd day. The predecessor language isn't meant to be spoken. It's meant to be understood through genetic memory. My DNA remembers it even though I never learned it. Pascal visited her each evening. On the 3rd night, he brought food from Earth. Real food, not synthesized. Rice and vegetables and spices that smelled like home. You don't have to do this, he said as they ate. The galaxy survived before humans arrived. It can survive without you sacrificing yourself. Brenham's people can't wait. Leah set down her fork. The plague is spreading. 3 other species are showing early symptoms now. If I don't try, we'll watch civilizations fall one by one. You're 28 years old. Pascal's voice cracked. You should have decades of life ahead, research, discovery, maybe a family. I know. Leah reached across the table and took his hand. But someone has to do it. And the tablet chose me. Why you? Out of all the humans in the galaxy, why did it call to you? Leah had thought about this. Maybe because I study the dead. Archaeology is about understanding people who don't exist anymore. Learning their stories. Giving them meaning. The predecessors are the ultimate dead civilization. Maybe the tablet knew I would listen. The Persistence was larger than Leah expected. A human ship built in the decades since first contact, combining Earth engineering with adapted alien technology. The crew of 40 included humans and a handful of aliens who volunteered to serve on a human vessel. Captain Rhodes met them at the airlock. Dr. Grant, Dr. Okonkwo, welcome aboard. We launch in 2 hours. The ship felt different from the sterile stations and facilities Leah had visited. The walls showed marks of human presence. Photographs, drawings, a child's painting of Earth taped near a doorway. These people had made this ship a home. The other species representatives arrived. A Voshani engineer named Senna, Brenham's daughter, desperate to save her parent. A Draith observer. 2 Quellan scientists. A Mirren physician. They all looked at Leah with varying degrees of suspicion and hope. As the countdown began, Leah stood in the observation deck. Through the window, she could see the archive station growing smaller. Earth was somewhere beyond, too far to see but close in her heart. The tablet rested against her chest now. It had bonded to her somehow, becoming part of her. She could feel it in her bones, feel the knowledge it carried, feel the weight of millions of years of waiting. Ready? Pascal stood beside her. No, Leah admitted, but I'm going anyway. The Persistence engines hummed to life. Space bent around them as the ship slipped into faster-than-light travel. They were heading toward the void between galaxies, toward a structure that should not exist. toward answers in transformation and a price no one fully understood yet. Through the tablet, Leah felt something reaching out to her across the distance. Other presences. Other humans who had made this choice before. She was not the first to touch a tablet and hear it call. Throughout history, people had disappeared. Ascended, the myth said. Became one with the universe, now she understood. They had become conduits, guardians, pieces of the framework holding reality together. Soon she would join them. The vault appeared in the view screen like something from a nightmare or a dream. Leah could not decide which. The structure floated in absolute darkness between galaxies where no stars shone. It was massive beyond understanding. Larger than planets. Larger than stars. Built from materials that seemed to shift and change as she looked at them. That cannot be real, Senna whispered. The young Vashani engineer had her parents' analytical mind. The structural stress alone would collapse it. Nothing that large can maintain cohesion. It exists outside normal physics, Leah said. The tablet had been teaching her constantly during the journey. Her mind now held concepts that had no words in any human language. The predecessors built it in multiple dimensions at once. What we see is just one cross-section. Captain Rhodes brought the Persistence to a halt at a safe distance. Any idea how we get inside? Leah stood. The tablet had fused to her hands now. Black tendrils ran up her arms like living tattoos. Her eyes had changed too. Pascal had gasped when he saw them. They were still human eyes, but they saw more now. Colors that should not exist. Shapes folded through dimensions humans were never meant to perceive. I go alone, she said. The vault will only open for me. Absolutely not. Pascal grabbed her shoulder. Leah, we don't know what's in there. Yes, we do, she turned to face her mentor. The cure. The answer. And the price. Then I'm coming with you. You can't. Leah smiled sadly. Your DNA doesn't have enough of the markers. The vault's defenses would kill you. The Draith observer uncoiled from his seat. How do we know you will not simply take whatever power is inside for yourself? Humanity could use predecessor technology to dominate the galaxy. Leah looked at him. Really looked. She saw the fear beneath his suspicion, the terror of watching everything he knew crumble to entropy. If I wanted power, I would have let you all die and kept the tablet. I'm here because people are suffering. That's all. She walked to the shuttle bay alone. The small craft detached from the Persistence and drifted toward the vault. Leah piloted with hands that barely felt like hers anymore. The tablet's knowledge was becoming her knowledge. The line between Leah Grant and the ancient artifact was blurring. The vault's surface rippled as she approached. Openings appeared where none had been before. Passages wide enough for the shuttle. Leah flew into darkness lit only by strange lights that hurt to perceive directly. The shuttle landed in a chamber the size of a moon. Leah stepped out onto ground that felt solid but looked transparent. Below her, beneath her feet, she saw the universe. All of it, every galaxy, every star, everything that was and would be displayed like a map of light. Welcome, a voice said in her mind. Not words. Concepts that her brain translated into language. You carry the markers. You survived the test. You are worthy. Who are you? Leah walked forward. The chamber seemed to go on forever. I am the keeper, the final safeguard, the last question before the answer. The voice surrounded her. The predecessors built me to ensure only the right species would access the cure. You have proven your genetics. Now you must prove your understanding. The chamber changed. Leah found herself standing in the middle of a predecessor city. Not a vision this time. She could feel the ground beneath her feet, smell the air, hear the sounds of a civilization at its peak. Tall beings moved through streets of impossible beauty. Technology and nature merged seamlessly. It was paradise. Then the plague began. Leah watched time accelerate. Saw the first cases. Scientists unable to explain why the fundamental forces of physics were failing. Gravity fluctuating. Light behaving incorrectly. Matter losing cohesion. The plague spread not through bodies, but through space itself. Advanced civilizations created stress on reality, and reality was breaking under the weight. This is the first trial, the keeper said. Experience their extinction. Understand their fear. Leah lived through it. Felt the desperation, the terror, the grief of watching everything beautiful crumble to entropy. She experienced millions of years of death compressed into moments that felt like forever. When the vision ended, she fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. The second trial, the keeper announced. The universe spread out before her. Not the physical universe, but the mathematical one. Equations of impossible complexity floated in her vision. The fundamental laws that governed reality. She saw where the plague came from. A flaw in the equations. A price for advancement. The more complex civilization became, the more it stressed the underlying structure of existence. Solve it, the keeper commanded. Find what the predecessors could not. Leah stared at the equations. With her human mind, she would never understand them. But she was not just human anymore. The tablet had rewritten parts of her brain, given her access to ways of thinking the predecessors understood. She looked at the problem through their eyes and saw the flaw in their approach. The predecessors had tried to create perfect order, perfect stability. They wanted to eliminate chaos from the equations. But chaos was not the enemy. Chaos was necessary. Life itself was organized chaos. Evolution was random mutation refined by selection. Survival was adapting to unpredictable change. You tried to make reality rigid, Leah said to the empty chamber. You needed to make it flexible. The equations rearranged themselves. She saw the solution, not through cold logic but through intuition, born from millions of years of Earth's brutal evolution. Accept imperfection. Embrace change. Build flexibility into the foundation of reality itself. Correct, the keeper said. The cure is not a device. It is a perspective, a way of maintaining reality that accepts adaptation over order. The chamber transformed again. Leah stood before a gateway that led somewhere her mind could barely comprehend. Through it, she saw the network. Reality anchors scattered across galaxies. Nodes of stabilization placed by the predecessors millions of years ago. Dormant, waiting. The anchors will activate when you command, the keeper explained, but they require a conduit. A living being to channel the energies needed to stabilize reality. Someone who can exist across multiple dimensions simultaneously while remaining coherent. And that someone is me, Leah said, or any being with sufficient markers. But the transformation is permanent. You will become the anchor. Part of the network. You will see all of reality at once. Experience time non-linearly. You will save the galaxy, but you will no longer be entirely human. Leah thought of Brenham dying slowly, of the 3 other species showing symptoms, of all the civilizations that would fall if the plague continued spreading. She thought of Earth, her home, eventually developing technology advanced enough to trigger the same entropy. She thought of Pascal, waiting on the persistence, hoping she would come back unchanged. How long do I have to decide? She asked. The plague spreads faster now, days at most before it cascades beyond stopping. The keeper's presence felt almost sad. The predecessors hoped someone would reach this point. They seeded hundreds of worlds. Most failed. A few succeeded but evolved beings who could not make this choice. You are the first to both reach the vault and possess the qualities needed to activate the cure. Because humans are good at suffering, Leah said bitterly. We evolved through disasters. We know how to endure the unendurable. Yes, the keeper agreed. That is precisely why. Leah looked at the gateway. Through it she saw the others. Human consciousnesses scattered across time and space. People who had made this choice before when other crises threatened reality. A woman from ancient times. A monk from Earth's medieval period. A pilot from the early space age. They existed between dimensions, holding reality together forever. They were not gone. They were transformed. Still themselves, but more. I'll do it, Leah said. Tell me what I need to do. The transformation chamber pulsed with energy that existed in colors Leah had no names for. She floated in the center, surrounded by streams of light that the keeper called dimensional threads. The tablet had dissolved into her body completely now. Its substance merged with her cells, rewriting her at the most fundamental level. On the Persistence, Pascal watched through every sensor the ship had. The readings made no sense. Leah's biological signals were fragmenting, spreading out across impossible distances. Yet she was still alive, still conscious, somehow more alive than before. What's happening to her? Senna asked. The young Voshani's voice shook. Her parent was back on the archive station, barely clinging to life. Days left at most, maybe hours. She's becoming the conduit, Captain Rhodes said quietly, like she said she would. The transformation hurt in ways Leah could not have imagined. Her consciousness was expanding, stretching across dimensions. She could feel her awareness splitting, dividing, becoming multiple versions of herself all connected. She saw the galaxy from 1,000 angles at once, saw stars being born and dying, saw civilizations rising and falling, saw the plague spreading through space like a dark stain. Then she felt them, the others. Human consciousnesses reaching out to her across time and space. They had been waiting, watching, hoping someone else would join them in holding reality together. A woman's voice, ancient and warm, spoke in her expanding mind. "Welcome, sister. The first time is always the hardest. Hold on to who you are. Remember your name. Remember your home. I'm Leah." She gasped into the dimensional threads. Leah Grant, from Earth, from a small town in the Pacific Northwest where it rained all the time and the trees grew taller than buildings. "Good." A man's voice joined in. "Now remember the people you love. Pascal." Leah clung to the memory like a lifeline. "He taught me to dig carefully, to treat artifacts with respect because they were someone's life once. He made terrible jokes about dead civilizations and laughed at his own puns. The memories helped. Her consciousness stopped fragmenting out of control. She was expanding, yes, becoming more, but she was not losing herself. Not completely. The pain will end soon, another voice said. Male or female, Leah could not tell. Time had blurred their identity. And then you'll understand what we do, what we are. The dimensional threads tightened. Leah felt the reality anchors across the galaxy responding to her presence. They had waited millions of years for someone with the right genetic markers to activate them. Now they woke. Energy poured through her, through her and from her simultaneously. The distinction no longer meaningful. She became a channel for forces that rewrote the rules of physics on a cosmic scale. The plague had spread because reality was rigid, brittle. The anchors made it flexible again, able to bend under stress instead of breaking. On the Persistence, alarms went silent. Sensor readings stabilized. The strange energy patterns that had been spreading through nearby space began to fade. "It's working," Pascal whispered. He pressed his hand against the view screen showing the vault. "Leah, it's working." Back at the archive station in a medical bay surrounded by grieving Vashani, Branim suddenly brightened. The gray, dull crystals began to glow. Faint at first, then stronger. The plague's entropic decay reversed. Physics remembered how to work correctly. Life reasserted itself against impossible odds. Across the galaxy, 3 other species watched in wonder as their sick began to recover. The plague that should have killed billions simply stopped. Reality anchored itself, became stable again. But the cost was real. Leah's physical body began to fade, became translucent. The energy flowing through her was too much for matter to contain. She was diffusing, her consciousness spreading too thin to maintain a single corporeal form. "No." Pascal's voice cracked. "No, Leah, come back. Don't do this, please." She heard him across dimensions and distances, felt his grief like a physical weight. She wanted to reach back, to return to the Persistence, to be the person she used to be. But she was more than that person now. She was the framework, the foundation, the thing holding entropy at bay. If she pulled back, if she tried to become small again, the anchors would fail. The plague would return. Everything she had sacrificed herself for would be wasted. "I'm sorry," she whispered across every dimension at once. Her voice echoed through the Persistence, the archive, the council chambers. "I'm so sorry, Pascal. You said you would come back." He was crying now, not caring who saw. "You said it was just change, not death." "It's not death." Leah's form was barely visible now, more light than matter. "I'm everywhere, Pascal. I'm in every star, every planet, every space between spaces. I'm holding reality together. I'll always be here. That's not the same." His voice was raw with pain. "I wanted you here. My student, my friend. I wanted to see you grow old, to watch you make discoveries, to argue about ancient pottery and laugh about nothing. I know." And she did know. She felt his grief as if it were her own. Felt the grief of everyone on the Persistence. Felt Senna's relief at her parents' survival mixed with guilt at the cost. Felt Captain Rhodes's silent respect for a choice he hoped he would never have to make. The transformation completed. Leah's physical body vanished entirely. Her consciousness spread across the galaxy, woven into the fabric of reality itself. She existed in dimensions humans could not perceive, seeing time as a landscape rather than a river, experiencing every moment simultaneously. But she held on to the memories, Pascal's terrible jokes, Earth's reign, the smell of soil during a dig, the excitement of discovering something old and precious and forgotten. These memories were her anchor to humanity. Without them, she would dissolve completely into the cosmic framework. With them, she remained Leah, changed beyond recognition but still herself. The other conduits welcomed her fully. She understood now what they were. Guardians scattered across time, some from Earth's distant past, some from its future, all existing outside linear causality to maintain stability. They showed her how to exist in this state, how to be everywhere and nowhere, how to hold reality together without going insane from the perspective. "You did well," the ancient woman said. "Welcome to eternity." On the Persistence, Pascal stood alone in the observation deck. The vault was beginning to fade, its purpose served. Soon it would vanish back into whatever dimensional space it occupied. The Obsidian tablet was gone. Leah was gone. The mission was over. They had saved the galaxy. The plague was cured. Billions would live because of one human sacrifice, but Pascal would have given anything to have his student back. 1 year passed. The galaxy celebrated survival. The Galactic Council established new protocols, new relationships, new understanding of how interconnected all species truly were. Humans were no longer seen as primitive newcomers. They were recognized as wayfarers, species who built bridges between others through adaptation and survival. But Pascal Okonkwo did not celebrate. He worked in his office at the Archive of Lost Civilizations, now the most important research institution in the known galaxy. Around him floated holographic displays showing signals from beyond the galactic rim, patterns that matched the Obsidian tablet's energy signature, evidence of other predecessor experiments in other galaxies. His hair had gone gray in the past year. Grief did that sometimes. On Earth, a young archaeologist named Ren studied in the desert. She had followed Leah's career obsessively. Read every paper, watched every lecture recording. Leah Grant was her hero, the reason she chose archaeology over engineering. When news came of Leah's sacrifice, Ren cried for a week. Then she went looking for answers. The Sahara Desert held secrets buried for millions of years. Ren had spent months searching, using equipment borrowed and bought and sometimes stolen. She followed intuition more than data, followed a feeling that pulled her to a specific location where ancient bedrock pushed through endless sand. And there, buried 50 meters down, she found another tablet. She dug alone. Could not explain why. The moment her tools scraped against smooth obsidian, she knew she should call someone, should report this, should follow proper procedures. Instead, she cleared the sand with her hands and touched the surface. It was warm. Not burning. Warm like coming home. The tablet showed her things. Not the past this time. The future. Civilizations yet to come. Species that would evolve millions of years from now, each facing their own existential challenges, each needing someone to hold reality together when physics threatened to fail. "I remember," Ren whispered, though she did not understand why. In the space between dimensions, Leah felt the new tablet activate. Felt another human making contact. She reached across distances that had no meaning in normal space and touched Ren's expanding consciousness. "Welcome," Leah said. "It's okay. You're not alone." Leah Grant? Ren's thoughts were confused, fragmenting as the tablet began its work. "But you're gone. You transformed." "I did, and I'm still here. Just different." Leah helped stabilize Ren's consciousness the way others had helped stabilize hers. "The tablet you found is a backup. The predecessors left many scattered across time. Some point to the past, some point to the future. What does mine do?" Ren asked. "It shows you what's coming. The civilizations that need protecting. The reality anchors that will be needed thousands of years from now." Leah's presence felt warm, comforting. "You don't have to transform. Not yet, not for a long time. But the tablet chose you for a reason. Because I carry the markers? Because you cared enough to look." Leah helped Ren understand the visions flooding her mind. Not everyone with the markers hears the call. You chose to listen. On the Persistence, now serving as an exploratory vessel studying predecessor sites, the crew detected the new tablet's activation. Captain Rhodes contacted Pascal immediately. "Another one," Rhodes said. "On Earth, in the Sahara." Pascal's heart stopped. Then started again, racing. "Who found it?" "Young woman named Ren, archaeological student. She's alive, conscious. The tablet isn't killing her." Pascal was on a shuttle within an hour. The journey to Earth took 3 days. 3 days of hope and fear mixing into something that hurt worse than pure grief. Another human. Another person carrying Leah's burden. He arrived to find Ren sitting in a research tent, tablet in her lap, eyes distant but aware. She looked up when he entered. "Dr. Okonkwo," she said. "I've read all your work. Yours and Dr. Grant's. You taught her, didn't you?" "Yes." Pascal sat down across from her, studied the tablet. It looked identical to the one Leah had carried. "Are you hurt?" "No, changed but not hurt." Ren smiled slightly. "She's with me, Leah. She's helping me understand." Pascal's breath caught. "You can speak with her?" "In a way. It's not like talking. More like sharing thoughts. She exists across dimensions now, Dr. Okonkwo. She's part of the framework holding everything together, and she's not alone. There are others, humans from throughout history who made the same choice." "Is she happy?" The question escaped before Pascal could stop it. "I know that sounds stupid. She's not human anymore. But is she, I don't know, at peace?" Ren's eyes focused on something Pascal could not see. "She says yes. She's different, but she's still herself. She holds on to memories of you, your terrible jokes, your kindness, the way you taught her that archaeology is about respecting the dead by remembering their lives." Tears ran down Pascal's face. He did not try to stop them. "I miss her. She knows. She feels it. But she also feels something else." Ren reached out and touched Pascal's hand. "Pride. She's proud of the work you're doing, finding other predecessor sites, learning their history. She says you're finishing what she started." The years continued. The galaxy discovered that the predecessors had seeded not just their own galaxy, but dozens, each experiment unique, each producing different solutions to the entropy problem. Humanity's solution, sacrifice through transformation, was just one approach. In the Andromeda galaxy, silicon-based beings had created their own conduit network. In a dwarf galaxy beyond the rim, a species of energy beings maintained reality through pure thought. The predecessors had thrown seeds across the universe hoping something would grow, and many things had grown, each beautiful in its own way. Pascal grew old, continued teaching, trained a generation of archaeologists who understood that the greatest discoveries often came with costs. Ren became his protégé, just as Leah had been. She carried her tablet but never transformed, not yet. She was keeping it safe for when the future needed another guardian. On his last day, Pascal sat in his office surrounded by a lifetime of research. He was 93. His body was failing, but his mind remained sharp. The air shimmered. Light bent in ways that should not be possible. And Leah appeared, not as she had been. Her form was translucent, glowing, barely holding together the energy needed to manifest physically. But it was her. Her smile, her eyes, her presence. "Hello, teacher," she said. Her voice echoed from everywhere at once. "Leah." Pascal smiled through tears. "You came. I'll always come when you need me." She knelt beside his chair. "Thank you for everything you taught me. For showing me that the past matters. For giving me the foundation that lets me remain myself even spread across the cosmos. I'm proud of you," Pascal whispered. "So proud. I know." Leah's form flickered. Manifesting like this was costing her, creating small tears in reality that she would need to repair. But this was worth it. "To see you one more time." They sat together as the sun set through his office window. Two archaeologists who had dedicated their lives to understanding the past. One who studied ruins, one who became eternal to preserve the future. When Pascal's breathing finally stopped, Leah held his hand. Then she faded back into the dimensional framework, carrying his memory with her. Another anchor to humanity. Another reminder of who she used to be and why she made her choice. Across the galaxy, humans learned the truth. They were not chosen, not special, not destined for greatness. They were simply the species who survived Earth's brutal history and learned to endure the unendurable. And sometimes when reality needed protecting, a few of them chose to become something more. Not because they were superior, but because someone had to, and they were stubborn enough to try. In the space between dimensions, Leah and the other conduits maintained their vigil, holding entropy at bay, keeping physics stable, allowing life to continue evolving and growing and becoming. They were not gods. They were not even entirely alive in the traditional sense. They were guardians, forever changed, forever watching, forever remembering what it meant to be human. And in remembering, they kept humanity's greatest quality alive across all space and time. The refusal to let the universe win. The stubborn, impossible, beautiful insistence that life mattered, that consciousness mattered, that the future was worth any price, even eternity.